And
Time is running
but
out. What do you think is going to happen with these
well,
Raptors
obviously at
at the
this point,
trade
The
deadline?
Raptors are they're buyers, right? It's just a matter of how much money they got in their wallets, right? Are they going into the dollar store or are they going into to Gucci? If the rap realistically, what I anticipate the Raptors doing, I think the Raptors are going to be walking into the Dollarama and picking up a couple of cost efficient items. Whether it's a backup center along the lines of a Sharp or maybe like one of the Indiana guys, a
Hmm?
Huff or a Jackson, or maybe a Messi and from New Orleans, something in that range. I would assume the Raptors are going to do, and they probably move out an Ibaji or someone in that level, right? Safe.
Okay.
It's what it'll fill a gap. However, you constantly hear buzz day after day about these larger names, right? Whether it's been Anthony Davis,
Yeah.
whether it's been John Morant, whether it's now the real name that's floating around is Sabonis, which to me I think is absolutely crazy. He does solve one issue the Raptors have is rebounding and having a
Rebounding. Yeah.
a, a guy who could close out possessions and rebound. He's been able to rebound and been a top rebounder in the league pretty much for his whole career. However, any team that's a bonus is anchoring is gonna be one that lacks a defensive anchor. We all know his inability to protect the rim. All
Okay.
right. We
Yeah.
know, we all seen the short arms. We know the inability to truly be that bookend of a defense,
Yep.
and that is another element that the Raptors do require. Hence,
Well,
why so much interest was around AD, right? Because he would answer all of that in one player.
80 can't stay healthy. So
Oh
as
yeah, so
as
again,
nice as a
he
name
he
that
he
80 is,
literally is not healthy right now, right? So that's a moot point, right? He can't help the team. Um, so I find it hard, especially for what you hear going out there. Talks about Jakob Pertl and RJ uh, being sent to Sacramento potentially for Sabonis. That would be a tough one to swallow because let's be honest, RJ would be clearly to me the best player in that deal. Um, it would be again one of the big reasons I can see the Raptors doing that deal if they did do it is because it allows them to get off of Jakob and the 4 years that he still has on his contract. And maybe it's five total. I don't even know because they for some reason extended this guy into 2030, which is absolutely crazy. Which to me just I don't know why there isn't a lot more heat on this GM, Bobby Webster, because again, I understand he's got a lot of coverage
yeah.
over the years. People haven't really, started to point too much fingers at him. But you look at this roster, and yes, yeah, they're fourth in the East and are having a good start to the year, coming up to the halfway point. But I don't know. I look at this roster and see no centers. I look at the roster and I see a overpaid point guard who's not really a point guard, and I start wondering what's this GM thinking, and how is he going to rectify this? I think the fire is going to get turned up if he doesn't figure out how to rectify some of these terrible decisions he's made, and hopefully they don't impede the Raptors from getting to where they want to get.
Now, Quickley's been on been in the news for, his offensive spurts because, he could be hot one night and then cold for the next three, and everybody knows how he struggled against zone defenses. That's one of his biggest backfires. So why don't we hear Quickley's name in a lot more trade buzz? Because if you ask me, RJ would be the one to get Quickley and probably a Bachi with somebody else, maybe a Grady
Yeah.
Dick, and probably bring in a proper floor general to run the point?
You just answered the question yourself right there. He's hot and cold. He's not consistent. He's not a great floor general. Why would other teams want this guy on their team, right? Again, he has his moments. He can when the shot is going, it can look good, but unfortunately, a couple of things go strongly against him. His contract, right? 3 more years, 30 plus $30 million a year. The guy's not a great defender. Not terrible, not the worst, but he's not a great defender.
Hold on, Quickly's making 30-something million per year?
30. You have to double check, but 30 something a year, right? And
wow.
Yeah, and again, right? It was something that I'm assuming they projected that he was going to be able to grow into a starting point guard. He's not. His decision making is terrible, and any Raptor fan can look and see when you see Shed come on the court that the whole offense changes because you actually have a point guard who has clearly a higher basketball IQ on the court, distributing the ball and making decisions.
I just looked up his contract details. It looks like we're married to Quickley for quite some time. His length is 5-year contract. This length through 2028-29 season. He's making in excess of $32.5 million per year. So he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's a rough one for a guy who realistically his role should be a 6-man spark plug off the bench. So again, this is again I can only look at the GM and say, hey, you've misfired, right, with your projection of this player, because he's definitely not a starting or a league point guard on a team that's going to be a real competitor in the league.
It is tough to swallow that. Wow, $32.5 million.
But I have one quick question for you, right, before we go. Do you think that a lot of this conversation around the Raptors, because over the years we've seen this play out as well, is just to drum up interest in players, and the Raptors seem to be a team that is very easy to use as that squad to drum up potentially a player's value.
Well,
do you think that a lot of that's going on? Because I've heard the Raptors name a lot of conversation, and I know they do have some pieces, but then we look at guys like Quickley and Jakob who have these terrible contracts, and a lot of teams are not looking to take on guys with this much years and that little production. So
that's all it is. Fool's gold. The Raptors are not making any moves. We have a terrible GM right now. Well, I'm not going to say it because he's just been freshly on the job, but the moves have just been questionable. So if you ask me, it is propaganda, it's fake news, it is marketing at its best. We are definitely being exploited. We're definitely being used because we're not making any moves. We were talking about
John. They're not going to make no moves because again, they have.
When I say we're not making any moves, I'm saying we're not going to be making any moves of significance. There's not going to be a wow, that big name's going. Yeah, it's just another bench
totally
role player. So
it's going to be fringe guy.
A fringe guy. So like we're not even like you said. We have bad contracts. RJ. What are we going to be doing with RJ? Should we keep RJ? I think we should be able to keep RJ, but we can't keep RJ with the contracts that we got. Pirtle, Quickley, those 2 contracts, who's going to want them? I just don't see the Raptors making that big pull. So yeah, we are being used. We're being exploited. And I think we enjoy it. Simply because our name's being in the news.
I think most teams enjoy being in the mix of conversations of potentially pulling off a big deal.
That's what I'm hoping, that they make some moves because the team is really good. Like, it's really good. We got Scotty Barnes, we got Brandon Ingram, we got Colin Murray-Bowl as a rookie, and we have a decent bench. So you got 1 or 2 more players in there that can make some really significant damage on the court. I think that we got a great chance at winning the East. 1 or 2 players away from that. 1 or 2 players away.
You know what? As crazy as that sounds, it's not far off.
It's not far off.
Again, adding a center, a serviceable center, would go a long ways to giving them a true chance to compete for the East.